Welcome to another episode of Chad Sports Talk. As you know, my name's Chad. Take a dive into sports. And it's that time again for my now be a bi-weekly NHL update. Now the All-Star break is done, and we start diving into the meat and potatoes of the season. And this is where those other teams really start to rise to the top, and well, the pretenders tending to pretend and fail miserably. And overall for the season is not doing, a lot of teams are doing extremely bad, and so we kind of expected to, some we didn't. Other teams are kind of struggling. You probably didn't really see it coming. So it's kind of hard to really kind of, predict how the season's going to end up. You pretty much know the top end of each division almost of who's going to be automatically in. Just as a wild card game is going to be a position is going to be, like I said, going to be a tight race with a lot of these teams. So before diving into all that, if you could just go ahead, give me a smash that thumbs up for me, especially like the content provider. Really please you two guys help promote this channel out. You can also subscribe. Love you guys review my work. Now me, you subscribe. It doesn't cost you a dime. It helps me provide more entertainment value for you. Now let's go ahead and start this, review off on, of course, the East Coast, dealing with the Atlantic Division. From the bottom to the top. And the first one on the list is Montreal, the most historic franchise in the NHL. And they were just abysmal. They're still abysmal, but they're starting, they have a spark, a little twinkle in their eyes now. And they got a little more aggression after finally letting go their coach and bringing in Martin St. Louis as a new head coach, boss that back there on the bench. Montreal kind of revitalized itself. It has recently knocked off two playoff caliber teams in St. Louis and Toronto, so things are looking in the right direction, but I think it might be a little bit too late for the Canadiens to make a good run. But they're definitely moving in the right direction in terms of trying to pick themselves up. And just ahead of them is Ottawa. They are just a very tenacious team. If you ever watched them play, they're very, very aggressive, and they try to get themselves in there, and they're actually one of the best teams to score off deflections. So it's one of these things that they are looking for the puck to get it into the net, and it's just defensive-wise not very good. And poor Buffalo. There are issues with the their netminders is probably beyond approach, where they've had to address 6 different goalies this season, and each one of them had at least 4 starts. I mean, that just says a lot of that. There's just too much turnover, too much turmoil, and it's just pretty much the concept of this is not how I drew it up. But this is just a team that's come back down to earth since the beginning of the season, and that's normally what happens with teams as they play along. And above them is Detroit. Now, Detroit is a very interesting team because they've had a good stretch where they were on the cusp of getting in there as a wild card, but they kind of fell down a bit. But it's a very young team, so they're not going to be down for long. Dylan Larkin's pretty much their rising star they got there in Detroit. Right now he's a top 10 in scoring since early December. Only gone through one multi-game point drought since being in the top 10 in December, recording 52 points in 46 games. So this is definitely a player you have to watch out for. Going to be a rising star. And if he continues his trajectory, will probably lead Detroit back into the playoffs. Maybe not this year, but it definitely makes some noise. So keep an eye out for them. All right, next on the list is Boston. This is a team I had picked to win the Stanley Cup at the beginning of the season. But when Tuukka Rask failed come back, pretty much stalled, and he officially retired. There were some of the issues they've kind of had was the defensive side of the game that kind of they stepped back a bit on that one. And it seems to kind of mellowed out now. Now they realize, okay, this is it. This is how we're going to operate. And they've had Brad Marchand and Patrice Bergeron out of the lineup vast majority of the times. So it gives a chance for Charlie McAvoy to really step up to the role. He's had some of his best stats of his entire career. He's matched his career highs in goals and points through just 46 games this season. And he's a major factor of remaining, keeping Boston within, the top 10 in goals against, despite some of their defensive struggles. You just look at Pastrnak as well as another quality player. They definitely Pirates should make a decent run to become a wild card team. What they do in the postseason, it's hard to determine, but they're still in that really deep race right there to at least get in. And they're off to one of their heated rivals, one of the other original 6 members, the Toronto Maple Leafs. This squad is stacked, and they're looking to boys to make sure they punch their tickets without being the wild card team. So they'll definitely, look like they're hard right now by the number 3 in the Atlantic. So we'll see if that kind of do anything. Like I said, the Maple Leafs have historically been a good power play this season, which somewhat surprising since they kind of gotten slow starts in a lot of games. But they've scored about 31% of the time with the man advantage, was one of the best in the league. Could, with the rate that their power play is going, could surpass probably one of the best all-time top power play units. And that was the 1977-78 Montreal Canadiens, who had a 31.9% scoring advantage. So they're right there. Could happen. With all that talent that Toronto has, you can definitely foresee that one happening. And the next two are just continuing their trend of really dominating and really revitalizing hockey enthusiasm down there in the state of Florida. And that's the Tampa Lightning, the Florida Panthers. Lightning, as you all know, is back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. It's very hard to be multiple champions, especially back-to-back. Now they're going to try to do a three-peat, which I don't think they can, but they'll definitely make a great run. Tampa Bay has yet to lose consecutive games in regulation, and they make sure they're in every single game. They go at it. They're trying to become the elite team, try to be a 3-time champion, which hasn't happened since the Islanders. It was the last time the teams have done that, and they're nipping at the heels at the division leader, Florida Panthers. This is a phenomenal unit. They defend their home ice extremely well, still the best in the league. And they got 9 players in 30 points or more within 50 games. That's right, 9 players has had 30 points or more. This is just a well-organized team. You can't take away one aspect because you got other guys that can score. So, this a very well-rounded team, and they just know how to really bring it to you. All right, now we'll shift our attention to the Metropolitan Division, and we'll start at the bottom there with the New Jersey Devils. Now, with the Devils, they have given up the most even strength goals this season, which is 135 thus far. And see most of their first period leads turn to losses. So defensive wise, they are not performing at what they should be, and this is will hamper them making any sorts of runs whatsoever. Not performing the way they should be. Speaking of not performing what it should be is Philadelphia. I don't know what this team's doing right now. They've only had one regulation win since December 16th. And I said in the beginning of the season and preview, this was a hard team to kind of predict which way to kind of go. I didn't expect them to be tanking. That's what it seems to be doing. I don't know what's wrong with Philadelphia or how they can get out of this funk, but they need to do something because this is not working well for the fans of Philadelphia. Another one that's not doing very well is the Islanders. When they made that magical run last year, I gave them a lot of praise. They had looked like a lot of pieces in place, but not the case. The Isles are sitting at the bottom of scoring, but they're starting to chip away a little bit at that, but they're still, hasn't quite got out of the basement of that aspect. They only scored more than 4 goals, like 23 times, or 5 times in the first 23 games, but now they've done it 8 times in the last 19 meetings. So they're starting to grate the offense that really kind of helped propel them to make that great run last year. Maybe it could happen this year. I mean, they're still a little ways off. There's still quite a few other teams sitting above them are doing extremely well. So only time will tell with that. Next up is Columbus. They look like they're starting to gel together now. Really starting to put forth some great offense. You look at their game against Pittsburgh the previous night. They took it to the Penguins, but ended up losing at the end. But still, a very tenacious team. Laine's really kind of stepped up to the role there in Columbus. But they've won more games and has the third best winning percentage when trailing after 2 periods. So this is not a team you can go up on and go, okay, we got them. They will come back and smack you in the mouth and then beat you. But it's a very a tough East to really kind of get yourself out of to become viable. Because, one of those rungs you have to get over is the Capitals. The Capitals are trying to return back to the Stanley Cup, lift it again. Make Ovechkin a 2-time champion. And Washington kind of find themselves in the middle of the Metro, which is I don't think where they really want to be. They want to be a little bit higher than that. Things are just not quite going where they're kind of going. The Caps paced the NHL scoring the first goal. They've done it 35 times. But then they also have the record of the second most losses when ahead after their first. So you just one of these things, if they come out early, they could lose it. They just gotta get too lax, let teams come back. But it's just something you don't really need them to kind of do to do that. Especially when you got the the Rangers sitting there above them, looking to get back to taking the lead in New York once again as the top team for that region. And they're pretty much, the Rangers can handle pressure in the tight games. They have led the league in 1-goal victories with 16. Igor Shesterkin, if I butcher that name, I do apologize, is having a very nice caliber season right now, and really helped vitalize the Rangers in the position they are. And right now, the Penguins are sitting in a very good position. But of course, this is a very, very loaded team right now, even with the injuries they've had. Going back to December 1st, you have Brian Russ, Jake Gunzel, and Sidney Crosby have achieved double-digit goals totals. Pittsburgh's middle 6-4 group has been surprisingly silent, and it's kind of worth addressing, but either eternally or through the trade market. But right now, may not be sitting much because they're sitting in a pretty good position right now where they're sitting at. They may try to, offload maybe one, get some younger talent in, kind of help get some youth in there. But right now, the way Pittsburgh's playing, I don't want to do too much tinkering with them, just to make sure. But, when you got the Carolina Hurricanes in the division right now, they're just being phenomenal. Because, this unit here clamps down when they're man down. They have the best penalty killing unit of all of NHL at 90%. So even if you have the man advantage, it doesn't really matter. They will pretty much shut the door in your face. And since November 7th, Carolina's only allowed the multiple man advantage goals in only one outing. And that's just, they've battened down the hatches. They've braced for the storm, and they get past the storm and then take it to you. So Carolina's just one of these teams that I think will be making a nice deep run. I think I've been saying that a lot for a couple of these teams out east, but the way some of these guys are situated, yeah, it's going to be a very tough battle to come out of the east to get to the Stanley Cup Finals. All right, now we're going to shift our attention out west and start with the Central Division with the team that's like belong in the Central. That's the Arizona Coyotes. This franchise is, dumpster fire. But they got picks galore, which I don't know really helps them out too much because they don't have any talent. And now they have signed a deal with Arizona State University to share the facility to play in one of the smallest arenas in the NHL. So I don't know how this is going to help save the Coyotes franchise financially until they can find a way to build that arena in Tempe, which still has made progress in that department. I don't know. Bedman is still set firm of keeping this franchise in Arizona, and I get that because you get spread the NHL to different markets, especially markets you don't really think. There are hockey fans out in Phoenix. A lot of the Midwesterners do move out to Arizona, so you bring that their love for hockey out there. Austin Matthews is proof that it could work out there. Arizona's just lacking everything. Quality leadership is abundant, not only in ownership but in the personnel office as well as on the ice. The Coyotes have one of the highest net penalty totals in NHL, and easily get at least 4.5 fractions a game. So they put themselves in particular binds, and it doesn't really help. The Blackhawks right now still haven't really moved themselves up any further than where they're at. Once again, it's kind of like the defense has moments where they shut down people, and then they have games like they had this past weekend against the Blues where they just got shut out. And it's you can only put so much on Andre Fleury because he's getting up there in age. I mean, there's no question about that. And the Blackhawks need more youth in their movement. So it depends on how much longer Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews will be there. But they definitely get something in there, and they've had brilliances where they make great runs and just beating teams. And great outings, and then they go on this terrible run. But when Patrick Kane in the past 48 games only has 13 goals, there's something wrong. Either it's Patrick Kane himself, or it's just the way the team is moving. But something's not right in Chicago, and I have a feeling that going to find themselves sitting outside this time around. And above them is going to be Winnipeg. Consistency is another issue that they are facing as well. Through their 50 games, the Jets have only managed three win streaks of 3 games or longer 3 times. And their best runs was 4, and that's dating back to October. So they can't really stay consistent or keep the pedal to the metal and fly like a true jet. But that's going to hamper them moving forward. And then Dallas, Joe Polinsky and Jason Robertson both are leading the charge offensively in Dallas. And we have Brandon Holby and Jake Ottinger kind of doing a great net-minding duo in there for the Stars. They both had but a 91% save percentage. Holby has a 2.78 goals against, while Ottinger is a 2.34. So this is really kind of keep Dallas in a lot of games. As long as they continue moving forward in offensive-wise, they could find themselves making a nice run in the playoffs. But the only time will tell, there's too many teams sitting there in front of them. And one of them is the Predators, the old Smashville. recently hosted that Stadium Series in Tennessee. Nissan Stadium between them and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Not a big fan of that Nashville jersey, but I get the Smashville thing. That's their identity, and they smash you. There's no doubt about that one. But lately, they haven't done very good number-wise. I mean, they did surprise Florida not too long ago, but they haven't beaten any quality team since January 11th, and they've been marred with the longest winning streak of the season so far, with 5 games, after going for the most of the campaign without back-to-back losses. So there's kind of some things brewing there in Nashville that maybe they'll start slipping and Dallas could overtake them, but still a lot of quality teams left in the Central to kind of go over, and St. Louis is another one. Terrence Engel is not the starter point. He's still a star to worry about. He's still a sniper out there on the edge, but he's not the guy you got to worry about. And then with the Blues, they've had another surprise netminder kind of step up in Ville Hussa, who's kind of became kind of the best option over Bennington. He's been on the road since December, gathering an impressive 9-1-1 record with with a 94 save percentage, with a 1.8 goals against average. And in that time frame, he's one of the best in the league. So maybe the Blues got some possible trade bait to send out there for someone else. Maybe grab some extra talent to really help out and make a nice run. Now, with Minnesota, the Wild, they had a slow start from Kaprizov, but he didn't register to a 4-point night back in late November. And then since then, he's just come back to form. He's tallied a point in at least all but 3 games of the next 27 games, then was in the top 5 in the league scoring over that same stretch with 44 points. So as long as he continues that stretch, Minnesota will be a very viable team, and especially right there leading in the Central. It's going to be a dangerous team to really face off against. Colorado is just a very well-oiled machine right now. This team is just elite. They're probably one of the most dominant teams right now in the league. There's too much talent to really pinpoint who is going to be what. And when you get 22 wins at home, you're actually 17 wins on the road, which is not bad considering a lot of the road teams. They look like they're one of the best on the road. So that just lets you know they're plus 36 in the goal differential. So they're just a hard team to kind of pinpoint. So Colorado's going to definitely probably be the team right now focused to probably win the Cup this year. Now we'll leave off with the Pacific Division, as right now you got the Kraken down there in the bottom, lurking in the depths. The beast is slumbering. Whatever puns you want to throw out there. Like I said, they've had a few problems this season, but they have consistently been the NHL's best team in limiting shots against, which is kind of what they were kind of going for, more of a defensive style team. They've been in a lot of games, though. That's a thing you got to take it into consideration. They have a lot of one-loss games, but it's the net minding that's not really looking very good for them. Grubauer is not bringing that same intensity he had in Colorado up to Seattle, so I'm not sure what's not working there. But they got the defensive. I think the defensive line they got in place is to try to work the other pieces. And like I said before, for about 2 to 3 years, you probably see in the playoffs. And then Seattle, excuse me, and then San Jose, another team that's kind of gone downhill recently from the years of sitting on top of the Pacific Division, and it seems like the Western playoffs always ran through San Jose. Now they're not really there, and they're also in the depths, just above the Kraken. But they've had Timo Meier and Tomas Hertl have been the 2 big stars for the Sharks that between them have register 130 goals. So they got some bright points in here. Some apex predators. So, whatever, shark you want to use in their analogy. Some megalodons. But once again, that's a loaded Pacific Division as well, where they'll eat each other up to get in there. And one that does a lot of battling is the Vancouver Canucks. This team is just tenacious. They are all over the ice. And they will meet in games regardless. So, but now that Vancouver's now in the top 10 in the league in winning percentage, and of course they're better than They makes them better in Calgary, Boston, Washington. And this is in the past 25 games since Bruce Boudreau took over as the Canucks head coach. So this is like, better than those three teams in that time frame. So they're moving in the right direction. Like I said, the tenacity is there, and they'll definitely cause headaches throughout the league. The dark horse pick, the LA Kings, right now they're battling to hold on to that playoff berth, and it could possibly slip away, especially with the charging Canucks team. LA is currently the NHL's only team that's in the top 3 in both shots on goal and field shots against. So they've slowed down the game a lot to really stifle opponents to make any type of a play on the net. But also, they don't generate enough offense on their end to really muster that as well. But time will tell, see how that one kind of goes. And then above them is the Ducks. Trevor Seagas is drawing all the headlines, but it's Troy Terry that remains the head Duck. That's just constantly playing. He has twice as many goals as his teammate. I mean, he has 26, while Trevor only has 13. Terry's incredibly shooting percentage of like a little over 24%. It's the second best in NHL with skaters with at least 40 games played. So he's the focal point for right now, the Anaheim attack. But teams are not really paying attention to them for some reason. It's going to bite them. Edmonton is definitely one of those teams you especially see up there, especially with McDavid and Draisaitl. And the Oilers only scored first in the fewest times in the game with their 15, so extremely slow start seems to be really hampering them. But they're also the only team with a perfect record when tallying the opening score. So they get there, they're going to win, it seems like. But it seems to be a slow process to get there. And you get Vegas. Vegas right now is just still a well-oiled machine out there since their inception. And they're definitely probably going to make it. They're definitely going to make it out of the Pacific. But they only have one 20-goal scorer within the ranks, and that's Jonathan Monster Salt. But that's just let you know that you don't need a leader. You just need scorers. Anyone can light up the light, and this is definitely one of the things that Vegas strives upon to generate the points to get in. And you can't stop one. You have to stop them all, and it's a little hard to do that. And then Calgary, unsurprisingly, the Flames are averaging the fewest goals against this season, with Markstrom and Vladar being, both, of course, being fantastic in the net, stopping any attempts to score. And Calgary has also balanced that with an elite offensive attack, putting it on top of the NHL in shots fired with 30-plus per game. It's like you just get pucks to the net and see what happens. And when you continue to do that, you'll make sure that you're put yourself in a very, very great position to win more games than not. So right now out east for your playoff positions, of course, the Atlantic Big Three is Florida, Tampa Bay, and Toronto. The Met is Carolina, Pittsburgh, and the Rangers. Your top two wildcard teams right now are Boston and Washington, with a 10-point advantage over Columbus. So there's a long hill for the Blue Jackets to climb, and you have to expect someone to kind of falter. Probably not going to happen. So I think what you see right now could be it, unless there's a complete collapse of one of these teams. Maybe the injuries finally catch up with Boston. Who knows? But that being said, I think that they're at. So, Boston and Columbus and Detroit, the two teams sitting outside looking in right now. West, leading the Central is Colorado, St. Louis, and Minnesota. Followed in the Pacific is Calgary, LA, and Vegas. West, for the wildcard teams right now, it's Nashville and Dallas. But Edmonton is right there. Edmonton and Dallas right now is tied at 61 points. And then behind them, you have Anaheim, and then you have Vancouver. You can't count out Winnipeg or San Jose. The West, like I said, will beat each other up to get in there. I think the only teams that probably be safe out west is Colorado, St. Louis. And I'm thinking about the only ones you could probably say that are safe, because there's just too many other teams out there that can knock them off. I mean, Edmonton can knock off Vegas out of the number 3 slots. I mean, that's how close that. They're only 1 point separating them. So the West is a very, very tight race, and only time will tell how this one kind of plays out. And it's definitely going to be a fun rest of the season, especially like seeing these races go on. But hey, just let me know who you think, what you think so far the NHL season. Which team has been your biggest disappointment, or biggest disappointment, should I say? Which one's been your most biggest surprise? Do you think your team's going to make it? I'm realistic. I know these guys, they're not going to make the playoffs. I'm just being realist here. I'm just hoping they can, blaze some noses and keep, blaze some noses and burst some bubbles along the way. That's just what I expect from the Blackhawks to do. I don't expect them to make this magical run where they got all of a sudden score, get 40 points all of a sudden and get in there. I don't think that's going to happen, but stranger things have happened in the NHL, so the only time will tell. Just let me know down below what you think. Once again, once you're there, you go ahead, you hit that thumbs up. It helps promote this channel. You can also share it, share with your friends and family, especially like this content. You also subscribe. Once you subscribe, you can hit that bell notification, let you know next time I post a video. And I will see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.